Hey everyone, James Lynch here, back for Odds HQ, giving out some prop bets for Saturday night's UFC Fight Night, UFC Vegas 6 card, which goes down at the Apex in Las Vegas. Let's start first in the main event. I like Derrick Lewis inside the distance right now. Now, currently, most books have Derrick Lewis as about a 2-1 favorite. You can get Derrick Lewis right now, the inside the distance prop at -160. In fact, I'd even look for the knockout prop. It might be rated even higher when that comes out. But right now, you can get Derrick Lewis at -160 for the inside the distance prop. And you just look at the fact that Oleinik has been knocked out 3 of his 4 UFC losses. Derrick Lewis, 18 career wins by knockout. He's due for a knockout. His last 2 fights have gone the distance. I think Derrick Lewis goes out there and flattens Alexei Oleinik at some point in this fight, whether it's the first round, second round. I do see Derrick Lewis getting the knockout because not a lot of guys can take a shot from Derrick Lewis, and I just don't see Oleinik being able to get Lewis to the ground and submitting him. That's how I think Oleinik wins, but if Lewis wins, I think it's going to be by knockout. So look for either the knockout prop or just take it right now at inside the distance for Derrick Lewis because I think he gets it done here. And at -160, a lot better odds than the 2-1. So you could parlay that or play it straight up. But either way, I like Lewis inside the distance in the main event. Let's go to the featherweight division. Youssef Zalal, Peter Barrett. I like Youssef Zalal inside the distance in this matchup. Zalal, right now, you can get him for +140 inside the distance, which I think is some good odds for a number of reasons. For starters, Zalal's last 2 fights have gone the distance. He's a guy that wants to get the finish, and he took this on short notice. I think he's really dying to get that first finish in the UFC. He's coming off a really nice win over Jordan Griffin. And Barrett hasn't fought in a while. Now, here's an interesting thing. Like, he won on Contender Series, as we know. He didn't get a chance to, fight since then. We're coming up to almost a year since he last fought, but that's because he wanted to fight at featherweight, and there just wasn't any featherweight fights available. And even if there were, he didn't have time to make the weight. So that's why he hasn't fought in so long. Barrett was supposed to fight Steve Garcia. Now he's fighting Youssef Zalal. And the other thing that worries me a bit about Barrett is that he hasn't fought at featherweight since November of 2017. Now, I have no doubt he's going to make the weight. He's had plenty of time for this fight, but I do wonder at him fighting at featherweight if he's a little bit more susceptible to getting finished, because if you look at his last 6 fights, 3 of those he was stopped in those fights. So I think he's a little bit more susceptible to the knockout and potentially susceptible to either getting dropped and then, maybe his opponent submitting him, in this case, Zalal. So that's why I think the inside the distance prop is a little bit better than, say, by knockout or submission. And you can get that at plus money. Zalal's already like a 4-1 favorite on most betting lines. So I think getting him inside the distance is quite the value as far as that goes, as far as the prop bets go. And my last one's a bit of a prop bet that's off the wall here, but I do see some value here. Justin Jaynes is taking on Gavin Tucker in a featherweight fight. Right now, you can get Justin Jaynes inside the distance at plus 295. One of the reasons I like this is that Jaynes is a finisher. We saw in his UFC debut on short notice. He got the quick win over Frank Camacho, knocking him out in the very first round. I don't know if Jaynes is going to do that in this fight in terms of knocking his opponent out that quickly, but we know Gavin Tucker gets hit a lot. Look at the Rick Lang fight where it was just a complete one-sided beatdown. Even in his last win that Gavin Tucker had at UFC 240, that was a fight where he got dropped in it. So I think Jaynes could potentially go and drop Gavin Tucker in this fight and potentially finish him. I know Tucker hasn't been finished in his career, but I think this is the fight where it could happen. The only concern, obviously, with Jaynes is that he's got to make the weight. He's fought as heavy as welterweight in his career, now fighting down at 45. So if he can make the weight, I think he's going to pack a lot of power, and I do see him knocking out Gavin Tucker in this fight. I'm Canadian, but unfortunately, I think the Americans are going to potentially pull off the upset here, and I do see a lot of value at him at inside the distance, which, like I said, is at plus 295. So I want to know what you guys think of these prop bets below. Let me know in the comments. Follow me on Twitter and on Instagram at Lynch on Sports, and make sure you subscribe to the Odds HQ YouTube channel where you can find my interviews and betting breakdowns. Hope you guys have a great day. Thanks so much for watching.